My great pleasure to invite Christian Ciobanu from Reverse the Trend and the New Age Peace Foundation to join us on the podium. And we're very relieved because Christian managed to get in from New York City last night. So we're happy to have him.
As the Senator mentioned, my name is Christian Ciobanu. I'm the Policy and Advocacy Director of the Nuclear Age Peace Foundation and also the project coordinator for its youth initiative, Reverse the Trend, Save Our People, Save Our Planet. Today, I am joined by my esteemed colleague, Azamat Kairolda, who is a counselor for the mission of Kazakhstan in New York, and he covers nuclear disarmament, non-proliferation affairs for the mission, and he's also co-chair of the Informal Working Group on Articles 6 and 7 of the TPNW. But before we get to him, my other colleague was able to also join us, Dr. Ivana Hughes, who is president of the Nuclear Age Peace Foundation. And before I give her the floor, I just would like to briefly mention that she is a senior lecturer in the discipline of chemistry at Columbia University, and she is also a member of the scientific advisory group to the Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons. This committee consists of 15 experts from around the world who advise the state parties on scientific issues as they pertain to the treaty itself. And together, she and I focus a lot on nuclear justice initiatives at the United Nations, especially helping countries that have been impacted by nuclear weapons, including Kiribati and Kazakhstan. So before I go on, I just would like to give her the floor and she can share her remarks. Please, Dr. Hughes.
Thank you so much, Christian, and thank you everyone for including me in this absolutely amazing, wonderful, uplifting program. I'm so grateful to Senators McFedrin and Osler and Elder Command and everybody. I mean, it's such a big group of people. It's hard to thank everyone, or I'll take all of my time. So thank you for the opportunity to be with you. Christian and I, as he mentioned, are at the Nuclear Age Peace Foundation, which was founded in 1982 with a mission that we have remained truly committed and unwavering to. And the mission is to educate and advocate for a just and peaceful world, one that is free of nuclear weapons. And so for us, the negotiation, the entry into force, and the progress that has been made on the Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons has truly been, on the one hand, a dream come true after decades of this work, but at the same time also a kind of light in a dark world and a kind of goal that we are so committed and determined to see fully and completely implemented. The Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons prohibits any and all activities having to do with nuclear weapons, and it is, I would say, it is not just our best chance to actually achieve a world free of nuclear weapons. I would say it's our only chance, because it is this is an agreement that has brought states from around the world together, and it is the only one that will maintain that kind of international focus. What we need to do in the meantime is bring everybody who's not yet at the table, and that's at the table are currently 98 parties that have either signed or ratified the treaty. We need to bring everybody else to the table, most especially the 9 states that have nuclear weapons. I just want to highlight one thing that Senator Osler said, that a nuclear weapon can destroy a city and literally murder everyone in the city within seconds, and then the consequences can last for generations. She's absolutely right, but it's worse than that. We have 1,000 nuclear warheads in this world. We can destroy the entire world. We can create nuclear war today, could create such climatic changes that would induce something scientists call nuclear winter that would literally starve potentially all of humanity. And in many cases, we understand that this would lead to billions of people quite literally starving to death because there would be no, under such climatic conditions, there would quite simply not be food available for the current population. So we're talking about the end of the world as we know it, and I'm sure you all agree that is not acceptable, and we need to change it. And the only way to ensure that something like that never happens is to ban, prohibit, and eliminate all nuclear weapons. So I just want to say very briefly two things. In addition to us always having been committed to a world free of nuclear weapons, we have also always been committed to the role of youth in achieving it. We have been committed to educating, to including, to engaging young voices through a variety of efforts. And more recently, we're just so excited to have the Reverse the Trend initiative that has been able, you can imagine that in the 1980s, it would have been harder to have a virtual meeting like this, or to have people coming together from different countries and being able to communicate and be in constant contact and so on. But in this day and age, one of the advantages, of course, is that we can bring youth from across the world to work on this together and to help us build a better future. And I just want to say three things of why I think the youth involvement is so critical on these issues. The youth are our future, but really what we're talking about here is their future. And I want to highlight an indigenous proverb that says that we don't inherit the earth from our ancestors, we borrow it from our children. This is really, really important. This is their future, and they must be involved every step of the way. There are other reasons why they need to be involved, or why you need to be involved. You bring energy, you bring fresh perspectives, and you can help us carry the torch not to just achieving, but maintaining a world free of nuclear weapons, and going even further, getting to a place where we truly have a peaceful world in which disputes and disagreements are dealt with through diplomacy and not through war, and not through killing people, and not to threatening to destroy the entire planet. So on that note, I'm gonna say thank you again also very much. I'm so inspired and touched to be a part of this event. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hughes, for your insights and for your dedication to youth empowerment. It's very much appreciated. I know you have to run, so we won't hold you, and we'll transition to the next speaker, if that's okay. Ivana. So next we will hear from the Azamat Kairolda. Yes, I have to apologize for mispronouncing his last name. He's the counselor at the Mission of Kazakhstan, and you may wonder, what is Kazakhstan's role in all of this? And it's closely linked to their legacy of nuclear testing. Kazakhstan experienced around 456 nuclear tests conducted by the Soviet Union. And together with Kiribati, which also experienced 33 nuclear tests, they are spearheading efforts on Articles 6 and 7 of the TPNW. So very much focus on providing assistance to the victims of nuclear weapons, and also to address contaminated environments. So I'll give the floor to him. I should mention that Kazakhstan also has the presidency of the third meeting of States Party of the TPNW, which will be held in New York in early March. So please, Azamat, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Christian. Good morning. Can you hear me? Is it okay? So, Honorable Chair, distinguished delegates, esteemed colleagues, dear friends, I'm honored to address you today at the Second Youth Parliament Nuclear Summit. It's a great privilege to share Kazakhstan's perspective on the Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons, TPNW, as we say, a cornerstone for our global efforts toward nuclear disarmament. Before I begin, I would like to extend my warmest Kazakh regards, even from New York. I understand that the weather in Canada is particularly brisk at the moment, and I hope you are all keeping well. The success of the summit highlights the unwavering commitment of young leaders and policymakers to advancing the cause of a world free from nuclear weapons. Your engagement and dedication reaffirm that the future of nuclear disarmament is in capable hands. Together we can build on this momentum to achieve lasting global peace and security. The journey toward the TPNW began with adoption and resolution of 71/259 by the United Nations General Assembly back in 2017. After its adoption, the treaty was open for signatures on September 2017. It entered into force on January 22 to 2021 after 50 states ratified. Today we have 73 ratified states and 94 states that signed the treaty. So the first meeting of the state parties to the treaty was held in Vienna, Austria in June 2022. At this gathering, participants reaffirmed their commitment to a world free of nuclear weapons and adopted the Vienna Plan Action, setting clear steps for the further implementation of the treaty. Among the critical decisions made were the establishment of deadlines for the removal of nuclear weapons and devices from operational status and national territories as required by Article 4 of the TPNW. In December 2023, the second meeting of state parties was convened at the United Nations headquarters in New York. Delegates discussed the humanitarian impact of nuclear weapons and committed to upholding the prohibition of nuclear weapons while working toward the creation of International Trust Fund to assist victims and address environmental damage. Now we look ahead the third meeting of state parties in March 2025, where Kazakhstan will continue to advance the TPNW's full implementation, strengthening the treaty's legal framework and advancing humanitarian assistance for nuclear victims. Kazakhstan's leadership of the TPNW carries profound significance. As Christian mentioned, our country has first-hand experience the devastating consequences of nuclear weapons. From 1949 to 1989, the Semipalatinsk nuclear test site in Kazakhstan was the site of over 450 nuclear explosions, deeply affecting the health and environment of our people. In the wake of this suffering, Kazakhstan made a bold and courageous decision. We voluntarily relinquished the nuclear weapons and we inherited after the Soviet Union's dissolution. This commitment has shaped our national identity as a strong proponent of nuclear disarmament. Kazakhstan's presidency of the TPNW is not a moral responsibility, but also a diplomatic opportunity to guide the world toward a future free of nuclear threats. Kazakhstan was an active participant in the negotiation that led to the adoption of the TPNW. Our country, as Christian mentioned, co-chaired efforts to focus on humanitarian impact of nuclear weapons and played a pivotal role in crafting the treaty's provisions. We continue to work closely with countries like Kiribati to implement Articles 6 and 7 of the treaty, which focus on assistance to victims and environmental remediation. Additionally, Kazakhstan is collaborating on establishing the International Trust Fund to help countries and individuals impacted by by nuclear testing and weapons use. Kazakhstan is deeply committed to the success of third meeting of states in 2025. We are committed to ensuring that more countries join the TPNW and that the treaty becomes a truly global norm against nuclear weapons. The threat of nuclear war has reached alarming levels, exacerbating by rising geopolitical tensions, the modernization of nuclear arsenals, and the resurgence of nuclear rhetoric. We are witnessing new developments in nuclear weaponry, with more potent and lethal weapons being produced. At the same time, Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, NPT's Article 6, which calls for the disarmament of nuclear powers, remains largely unfulfilled, leaving the world vulnerable to catastrophic conflict. In these challenging times, the TPNW is more important than ever. The treaty reinforces the norm against nuclear weapons, prohibiting their use, development, and possession. Complements other disarmament agreements such as NPT and Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty, providing legal framework for nuclear disarmament. Places humanitarian concerns at the heart of the disarmament conversation, ensuring that the consequences of nuclear weapons are not ignored. Giving a voice to victims of nuclear weapons, ensuring that their suffering is acknowledged and their rights are upheld. The TPNW is not just a legal instrument, it's a powerful statement to the world that nuclear weapons are unacceptable. Kazakhstan stands firmly behind this message and calls all nations to engage in constructive dialogue, reduce nuclear risks, and work toward the eventual abolition of nuclear weapons. In conclusion, I want to mention, as the risk of nuclear conflicts rises, it is imperative that we unite in our resolve to eliminate nuclear weapons. Kazakhstan, as a country that has experienced the devastating effects of nuclear weapons, is committed to ensuring that no other nation suffers as we have. But the journey doesn't end with the governments. Youth play a crucial role in shaping the future we want to see. It is up to us, the next generation of leaders, to advocate for peace, demand, and disarmament, and continue the fight for the world free of nuclear threats. The TPNW gives us the opportunity to push for change and make our voice heard. We call all of you young people across the world and in Canada especially to join this critical cause. Through the TPNW, we can work together toward a future where nuclear weapons are nothing more than a tragic chapter in history, and where peace and security are guaranteed for all. Thank you very much.
Very much appreciated. I should also share that the Article 6 and 7 provisions that Kiribati and Kazakhstan co-chair together are directly inspired by the Ottawa process, which resulted in the Ottawa Convention on Anti-Personnel Landmines. It was one of the key treaties that had very strong provisions on victim assistance to help the victims of landmines, and from that really greatly inspired the state's parties to look at how to help the victims of nuclear weapons and to remediate contaminated environments. So it's a huge endeavor by both these states, and especially by Kazakhstan, but it's something that's very fruitful to have the establishment of an international trust fund in the very near future to help the victims. So once again, thank you so much, Azamat, and thank you so much, Ivana, as well.